So, it's been a while, but to be fair, I've been spending the past 2 months or so applying for grad school, and it really hasn't been fun. So many thoughts about inadequacy, and, being a bad writer, and wondering if anything you're doing is ever worth it at all, and stress, and then you have to pile schoolwork, and then vague socializing. It was just a lot. So I really wanted to take a break and just watch a movie. But I didn't really want to watch like a 2-hour movie or anything like super ridiculous like that because again, I didn't really have the time and I tend to not have the attention span for that. So I decided to go on my favorite trash bin of a movie site and check out Amazon Prime to see what they had and see what was just in my watch list. Now, for any context that someone might need, Amazon Prime kind of has a reputation of accepting anything as a movie. And while I guess for some people that makes Amazon Prime seem like less professional or less qualified, I love it all the more because of it. And I found this movie called Ouija Shark. Needless to say, it was a bad movie. Not just partially bad or opinionated bad, but kind of amazingly terrible at every level. But what I found fascinating about watching it is the fact that I was learning things from it, actually. Usually it's a sign of a good movie when you're fully immersed into the world and into its characters and you stop thinking of it as a movie but more as an experience. But the thing about bad movies is you're very much focused on the filmmaking and the behind the scenes drama and aspects that come with it. I feel like when it comes to filmmaking and film critiquing, especially when you're new, is that you don't really know where to start or how to view things in the analytical way that you see professionals do. And one thing that I find that really helps me, especially in the beginning when I wasn't sure what I was doing, is watching bad movies. So today I would like to analyze the Ouija Shark from a filmmaking perspective because while it is a dumpster fire, it's a dumpster fire that really helps beginners learn how to make a movie. Fuck, I just spilled tea. Ooh, I'm spilling the tea! So I'll be breaking down this analysis of sorts into four sections. Camera work, story, lighting, and acting. For me personally, I actually have a lot of trouble distinguishing good lighting and good acting. It's something that I've always struggled with. I've never fully understood what makes an actor great, and I've never understood what makes lighting truly beautiful. I've been able to notice a very obvious lighting or very obvious lighting choices that really accentuate something, but I've never been able to fully understand it or learn the mechanics of how to properly light something, which you could probably tell by watching my videos. But first, let's go to camera. So after watching 2 minutes of opening credits, the first shot you get is of a car pulling up. And before even the car pulls up, you're just shocked at the scene before you. Now this was definitely not shot on a red or on a Blackmagic or anything fancy like that. I personally think this might have been shot on a phone actually, based off how bad the quality is. You've noticed something, right? And if not, look at how everything seems to be a bit more fuzzier, a little less focused, a little less sharp. That's usually the quality of between a good camera and a bad camera. Now, what's fully the difference once you get past DSLR and go into reds? I don't know. I told you I'm not great with cameras. But if you're a beginner and not really sure how to tell what a good camera is, I kind of am, I really recommend looking at this one scene and just looking at the camera and how it looks basically and how everything looks through it. That's really all I had to say about camera. Again, I don't like camera work. So moving on to story, something that I very much love. Now, I'm actually not going to get into the specifics of the entire movie because I don't want to. I will give a brief, let me actually find the log line for this movie. A group of teenage girls summons an ancient man-eating shark after messing with a Ouija board that washes up on a beach. So this is the log line. If you're unfamiliar, log line is basically the thing that's supposed to get you introduced to a film, right? So we're really watching this movie to see an ancient man-eating shark eat people, right? The thing is, from a pacing perspective, this movie is actively just terrible. It's under an hour 30 minutes, yet the shark doesn't even appear until halfway through. And while this alone technically isn't a bad thing when done right, I feel like if you're going to have a story like this, it makes much more sense to have like a 3-act structure or something where the beginning is an introduction of characters, the second act is where we introduce not only the man-eating shark, but you kind of see them wreaking havoc, and then you would have a third act of the main protagonist fighting the shark. And what happens is you spend the first 45 minutes in like this weird fugue state of like just watching the actors like do stuff. Like apparently she's very lonely and she goes hang out with friends, but the friends don't like her. But none of this actually matters for the story. So if you, like, honestly, I came here for a Ouija shark, I better get a fucking Ouija shark. So if you're gonna create a story like this, if anything, cut a lot of the beginning blubber. Because no one cares. We're not here because you want rich, fulfilling characters. We want man-eating shark. And then, like, push it back so you can still have that 3-act structure so you have, like, at least a vaguely nice story. And so if like you're not really familiar with story or like how to properly do a script, I think that's a good example of what not to do and how could you fix it if you wanted to. And next, let's go to lighting. Again, lighting is something that I'm not good at. I don't understand it. I can appreciate it, but I've never been able to figure out how to light something properly with my own 2 hands. But with this movie, I've never understood the lighting clearer. Everything is overexposed to like a horrendous degree, and I guess this also goes into camera work. Again, I don't fully understand cameras. Like the general rule is it's better to overexpose something than underexpose something, and you could probably fix it in post by using color correcting and all that. But this movie doesn't bother to fix it in post, so it's just very glaringly obvious, and it's especially bad because all the main characters are white. So, and they're placed in like these really hot situations with bright sunshine. All you see is their overexposed foreheads and some overexposed roads. And what you can learn from this is, while yes, it's okay to overexpose I guess this is camera work. Well, yes, it's okay to overexpose your film. Make sure you definitely fix it in post. And particularly with lighting, one thing they could have done is use a deflector to make sure that there's a softer light going onto their faces instead of this really harsh light that makes everything look super bright. And lastly, let's go to acting. I'm not great at detecting acting. While I can kind of tell what good acting is, I don't know what great acting is. But if there's one thing I've learned, mostly because I watch a lot of these like really trashy films, is I know what bad acting is. And God, is this acting bad. So, I would like to play this clip.
Oh no. I'm dead.
And I would just like to break it down, because what I notice in this is how they just kind of say words without truly feeling emotions, I guess. Is that what acting is? Feeling emotions while saying words? I do not know. I am not an actor. But I do think if you're like me and you don't fully know how to tell what good acting is, I'd watch this movie and just understand what bad acting is. What it always seems like in these movies is that you could tell that they're memorizing lines and they're just speaking them. They never put their own like flair or personality to those lines. They never add an emotional core to that line that actually feels authentic. It always feels like they're trying to replicate something for a camera without ever actually feeling it themselves. And what good acting tends to be is truly feeling those things as you say them, letting those emotions flow through you and bringing you to that place that you need to be, that your character needs to be to properly get what you need across. Wow, maybe I do know what acting is. And surprise, we have another category, which is sound. Sound is something that goes very much unnoticed, I feel like, when it comes to like an average moviegoer. And I get it, because when it's good, you don't really notice it. But when it's bad, you also tend to not really notice it unless it's really bad. And this movie, it has bad sound as well. Especially in like this house scene. You can tell that like that they're not individually mic'd up because how the sound bounces and reverberates throughout the house.
Okay, this is nice. You've never been here before? No, it's my first time.
Nice. This is sweet.
Oh, I see the pool. Let's go get the rest of the stuff from the car.
So like when you're making films, make sure that the sound and reverberations from around the area are actually manageable or non-existent at all, because that can be distracting for a moviegoer. So if you're a new filmmaker and you're just like, I want to make a real movie, and you don't spend time working on sound, you end up with this basically. So for future references, make sure you recognize that sound is important. Plus, sound guys are arguably the coolest guys on set, no matter what set you go on. are mostly the cool guys on set. So, like, honestly, learn some more about it. It's actually really interesting, and I think, okay, I know it's not easy, but I think it's something that's really important for everyone to figure out, because once you understand it, you kind of understand it. And editing. So I'm just going to put all of post-production here, because I don't really like post-production. It feels like at times in a lot of these shots, nothing is edited to be sharply paced, which sucks, because there's some, like, chase scenes in here where the shark is supposed to be like trying to chase someone. But how they do it is they make everything have a super low energy, where basically there'll be a little frame and then someone will enter and exit the frame. Now, all this alone isn't bad. It does create like a lower energy because we're seeing everything begin and end. And what they do in Ouija sharks editing is after someone leaves the frame, they'll still keep the shot there as if waiting, but it never feels ominous because of how often they do it, especially in the beginning before any true like horror is like built in. Even during the chase scenes, they spend how everything's shot is that it's very static and still, and you're just watching something happen. It very much feels like you're watching something through a TV instead of experiencing yourself. So maybe shaky cam might have worked better for this, but they do use shaky cam in the beginning, beginning or middle, I don't fully remember, but they do it so shaky where you can't really see anything, and it just creates like this really confusing mess to look at. And because I'm putting everything in editing, although they're not editing, and I am aware of that, the special effects in this movie are just bad, but I'm not even going to critique it for that, because I think they knew what they were doing with this. What I find funny, though, is the fact that it's actually not a model. You can tell in one shot, because there's little like pieces coming out, where this seems to be just like a plastic shark that they like took a picture of from like one or two angles, then stuck on the frame, made it translucent, add a blue glow, and then moved it. And then occasionally when they want it to move, they seem to like warp it in and out to make it look like it's actually moving when it's very much not moving. And it's honestly the best part of the film.
Get up and run! Oh no.
And now that I'm done with the, I guess, the actually good analytical part, I did just kind of want to rant about this movie for like 5 minutes. And then hopefully I'll relate it to something filmmaking related, because I just really want to talk about this movie. I have my little notes here. I love this mess. This really isn't supposed to be shade to the movie, because I think this movie did what it was supposed to do. I think the goal that the director had, like, actually, like, was completed. It's supposed to be just a really cheesy movie that's, like, dumb and not, like, put a lot of effort into. It's not trying to be something fancy. It's not trying to be something, like, good. And I think that's actually the biggest strength of this movie. A lot of young filmmakers, especially student filmmakers, when starting, really want to make, like, these giant masterpieces. And while there's nothing wrong with that and having ambition, it's important to realize that you're probably not going to make those masterpieces. So I do think one tip that you could actually learn from this movie is to just commit to the tone. It doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be like fancy or dramatic or like wholesome or emotional. Realistically, the best movies I've seen coming out of college filmmakers in like my years of being in university are the ones where they fully commit to something. It doesn't even have to be good. And I think that's one thing, the beauty of like some of the comedies I've seen. It's the fact that they know they're a comedy and they know they're dumb, so they don't try to be anything other than dumb. So do that. Realistically, just do that. While it's nice to make super dramatic things, and I'm not calling you out because I've also made super dramatic things that haven't fully landed, and it's because I don't have, like at the time, the skill to fully pull those off. So I do think it's important to work with your skill level, and that's one thing this movie kind of shows you. How to work where you're at and to make something that you have the ability to make. So make something that you know you can make. I wouldn't try to make anything better. Oh god, that sounds really sad, but I'm trying to make it sound inspirational, because I do think that's something that a lot of like student filmmakers don't fully know. So do that, and look at it in a positive way. I'm not doubting your skill, I'm just doubting your ability to fully maximize your potential. And now that's done, I would like to talk about one final thing, which is the plot twist ending of this movie. Yes, this belongs in story, but I'm putting it at the end of the movie because I think you need to experience this as I have experienced this. Donald Trump was behind the entire thing. Yes, is this like super exploitative, especially the fact that I'm assuming this film wasn't American, but actually Canadian, based off the Vancouver stuff I saw in it. And yes, especially after this election, am I fucking sick of hearing about Donald Trump. But they try to bronze his skin like the Donald Trump actor, but they don't actually like fully cover his skin. They just like, you can see where like the brush marks are. And while like he has the lip purse, right, he doesn't even have the voice. Like he occasionally tries to do the huge thing that Trump does, but like he doesn't even try to fully do the accent voice thing. It's like the perfect amount of effort that needs to be put in this. Although I could like live the rest of my life without seeing a Make America Great Again sign and live a very happy life. But yeah, that's how it ends. I'm gonna end this just like the film does on that note, but I hope you actually learned some interesting filmmaking tips from this. Yes, this movie is arguably a joke, but I do think there's something really important about looking at these quote-unquote bad movies and learning from them, because they usually have something interesting to say. So, go watch Ouija Shark, tell me your thoughts. Please watch this movie, it's on Amazon Prime and it's for free. I hate it so fucking much. I was gonna give it a half a star, but that twist ending with Trump made me give it another half star. But yeah, it's December, so I hope you have a happy holidays. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched this far, you're automatically cooler than anyone who stopped watching halfway through. Again, this has been Waikia, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye. Also, something I wanted to say real quick. The sun is starting to set, oh gosh. How they actually bring the shark into this universe is genuinely hilarious. Like, they play with the Ouija board, but they don't actually play with the thing that shows the letters. They play with like a solid block of wood. And I've never played with a Ouija board because I don't fuck with that shit, but I don't think that's how you do it. And my favorite thing is how the shark communicates. He communicates and he just like makes them like go in circles saying the word hungry like 3 times. So I'm like, oh, this shark knows words. Good job, shark boy. I'm so proud of you. Okay, that's all for real. Bye.